Jimmie Johnson is back in NASCAR, but this time as an owner-driver and not with Hendrick Motorsports. Today, we talk about two seven-time champs teaming up together and what this means for NASCAR on Shifting Gears. I'm Alan Bailey, and before we get started, make sure you smash the subscribe button to stay up to date on the latest videos and log on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Yeah, believe it or not, the Athletic's Jordan Bianchi confirmed it and first reported it on his Twitter account, tweeting out, Jimmie Johnson is finalizing a deal to obtain an ownership stake within the Petty GMS organization starting in 2023. Sources close to Johnson and Petty GMS have told The Athletic Johnson will also drive in selected races for the team. An announcement is expected this week. Honestly, I believe Jordan Bianchi. He has actually broken some very big news very recently this season and been 100% accurate. And knowing Jordan, he's not going to tweet it and he's not going to break the news unless he's 110% certain that it's accurate. And honestly, let's break this down because I think that this is a phenomenal move, not only for Jimmie Johnson, but for Petty GMS. I'm hearing that Johnson could run as many as 10 races next season, but as few as 2, depending on sponsorship and, frankly, what Johnson wants to do next season. There are some key events that, frankly, if I'm Johnson, I kind of want to go check out. The Coliseum, the Busch Light Clash is definitely one of them. Maybe racing at Auto Club for the final time on the 2-mile configuration is on his agenda. Even going to the Circuit of the Americas and running a road course could be in his future. And of course, I gotta imagine he's going to be racing at North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race in May. Beyond that, he could actually race at Indianapolis at the road course in August. Frankly, I don't think he'd necessarily put a playoff race on his schedule in 2023. It depends on what he does with IndyCar. We know that he does want to run a partial IndyCar schedule with potentially running the Indy 500 in May. Does that mean he's going to do the May Coca-Cola 600 double? Frankly, he could, but I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily in his wheelhouse at this time. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's something he does want to check off his bucket list, but where he is in his life right now, I think he wants to focus on the Indy 500. A lot of people have stopped and asked, well, why is Johnson teaming up with Petty GMS? Why not buy into Hendrick Motorsports, the team that he raced with in the Cup Series for so many years? Well, it's pretty simple. They're a 4-car organization, and NASCAR rules stipulate you can't run a 5th car unless it's for a rookie driver, and Johnson is anything but a rookie. I'm sure NASCAR would allow an exemption, but simply put, I think Johnson wants to set up a future for himself. And I think Petty GMS is a growing race team. When GMS bought into Petty, essentially they became a new team. Yes, the 43 car was always there, and yes, the 42 car was an anticipated new team for GMS, and they became a 2-car organization when 2022 started. Eric Jones continues to grow and develop, and I do think he's going to be a playoff threat in 2023. Noah Gragson is going to be a rookie in the number 42 Chevy in 2023, and he definitely has Hendrick ties. He has essentially raced for Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series, and a lot of people peg Gragson to go ahead and jump into the Cup Series in a Hendrick Chevy at some point down the road. But looking at Hendrick's current stable, there's not really a whole lot of room for Gragson, so he signed to drive the 42 car. The GMS ownership hails from the Las Vegas area, and honestly, there's a lot of ties for Noah personally at Petty GMS as well. So it made a lot of sense for Noah to go over there, and now kind of the stars are aligning because you have Jimmie Johnson, who obviously has a lot of Hendrick Motorsports ties, jumping over and owning part of Petty GMS Racing. Does this mean necessarily that we're going to see another brand name change with Petty Johnson GMS or something to that effect? Potentially, but honestly, Jimmie might be fine with Petty GMS as the name, or they could simply come up with a new name altogether for that race organization. We're going to have to wait and see. But I think that Jimmie Johnson going over to Petty GMS as an owner and a driver actually does mean that Petty GMS could team up with Hendrick Motorsports, not necessarily in an ownership capacity, but in a technical alliance similar to what we have with 2311 and Joe Gibbs Racing. Toyota is the glue that holds that organization together, and Chevy and Johnson will be the glue between Petty GMS and Hendrick Motorsports. Petty GMS is a threat to make the playoffs in 2023. There is no doubt about it. I do think that Noah Gragson is going to take a piece of humble pie in 2023, but I think mid-season that 42 Chevy should start turning it around, start running in the top 10, top 5 runs, and potentially Noah Gragson could actually make the playoffs in 2023 if all the stars align. Honestly, with Jimmie Johnson over there, you know that organization is only going to get better. Yes, Johnson's glory days might be behind him, but he is still a very capable driver that will be a threat to run at least in the top 15, top 10 in that car once he gets used to it. I'm going to throw a what if out there for all the Jimmie Johnson fans. What if Chad Knaus decides, hey, you know what, I'm going to dust off the crew chief hat and jump on over to Petty GMS through this technical alliance and be your crew chief? That would be pretty darn cool. Do I think it could happen? Yeah. Do I think it will happen? I don't know. The other speculation that's been rampant on the internet in the last 24 hours, what number will Jimmie Johnson run in the Cup Series? Obviously, he can't run his number 48 Chevy, which I'm honestly a little disappointed at. Johnson always raced the number 48, never went anywhere else. But what number could he potentially race in? Ooh, we saw the number 40 making its rounds. The 44 tends to be the popular opinion right now. Obviously, you have the 42 and the 43 racing under the Petty GMS banner right now, so the 44 makes all the sense. But he could, if the technical alliance with Hendrick does pan out, could actually run the 25, maybe even the 84. Personally, I hope he runs the 44. The announcement could come as soon as today, Thursday, or before the championship race, or even early next week after the season is over. We're going to have to wait and see what Petty GMS says. We did reach out to Petty GMS for a comment, and they have yet to comment on this, which leads me to believe that an announcement is coming sooner rather than later. Again, this is still a developing story, so make sure that you stay logged on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest on this story. You look at the future of Petty GMS, there is no doubt about it. This is going to be a powerhouse team. This is going to be what Trackhouse Racing is this season, and could evolve into what Joe Gibbs Racing is, or what Hendrick Motorsports is sometime down the road. You look at its two current drivers going into 2023. You have Eric Jones, who is a phenomenal race talent, who showed he can win in the Cup Series in not Joe Gibbs Racing equipment. He was always kind of the fourth-tiered driver at Joe Gibbs Racing and really didn't click with that organization until it was too late. And then when he jumped over to Petty GMS, he found success. Really, it took a little while to get there, but early on in the season, when NASCAR went to Auto Club Speedway early on in the season in 2022, he was running in the top 5 and was a threat to win that race. And eventually, he did win a race in the Southern 500 in 2022. So this organization does have speed behind it. They know how to win. They now have one. And I think it's just a matter of time before they start rattling off wins on a week-by-week basis. Noah Gragson is going to be a superstar caliber driver in the Cup Series. His personality is phenomenal, and I really do think that he's exactly what NASCAR needs. He might be the next Tim Richmond, and I know that is a big statement, but you cannot deny that this guy does have that same personality that Richmond had. I do think that Gragson is going to take a little bit of time to get used to the Cup car and get used to gelling with everything, but the fact that he's taking his crew chief from the Xfinity Series to the Cup Series is going to make him better, faster in the Cup Series and make him more comfortable in that car. I think that once Jimmie Johnson comes over, you're definitely going to have a guy who knows how to win races. And I do think he's going to pump a little bit more energy into that team, not that they needed it in the first place. But what do you think? Which races do you think Jimmie Johnson will race in 2023? What races would you like to see him race? What car number do you think he'll run in the Cup Series, or what car number should he run in the Cup Series? And how many races, if any, will Petty GMS win in the Cup Series in 2023? Let me know in the comments down below, and it could end up on the show. You can help support the channel for free by hitting the subscribe button, liking this video, and sharing it on social media. It means a lot. Thank you. You can also follow me on social media at HeyAlanBailey and log on to AmericanRacingNetwork.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Thank you so much for watching. For Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.